Good morning, everyone. Feel free to continue eating. We're just going to get our program started. We have a lot to do this morning, a lot going on today as well. So, my name is Tara Kapp. I'm your Friendly Neighborhood Booster Club Director, and I am very honored to be here this morning to celebrate so many for their contributions to and representation of the University of Jamestown. And on behalf of the Jimmy Booster Club Executive Board and the UJ Athletic Department, welcome to the 2022 Athletic Hall of Fame Awards induction ceremony. We are very, very pleased that you could make it. We know it's been a busy weekend. A lot of you had to travel. I know gas prices aren't the greatest, so thank you for spending your money and your time to be here together with us this morning. Now, the purpose of this treasured tradition is to honor former Jimmy coaches, standout athletes, distinguished graduates, and supporters of the University of Jamestown. If you are interested in nominating someone or a team for one of these prestigious awards, there is more information in the program at your table. Now, in order to make sure that we give all of our inductees the time and the spotlight that they deserve, we will leave time for individual and team photos following the program. We even have a little area down here we can do that. And for our team award winners, each of you will receive a plaque regarding your team's induction, and those will be available after the ceremony so that you have them for your team photos and can take them with you. You are all also invited to the Johnny B's Jimmy Tailgate following today's ceremony. We will be back on the Jim Johnson Plaza from 11 to 1 p.m. over at our beautiful stadium, the Charlotte and Gordon Hanson Stadium. And we're ready to claim our homecoming victory over Doane. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. If you are interested in the freshly grilled burgers and cold beverages that will be offered, it's only $5 per person. And all of our inductees will once again be honored during halftime and our homecoming king and queen will be crowned at halftime as well during the game this afternoon. So with that, let's go ahead and start our program. So to help introduce our first Hall of Fame inductee, I would like to introduce to you our new athletic director, Austin Heeb.
Hello. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I think a true test of how much a college is revered is how people come out for their homecoming. And this is my first homecoming here, and I couldn't be more impressed. I'm very, very excited for today. I hope everybody else is as well. Before I get started, I always try to make sure to let's all give Tara a round of applause for putting on this great event. It's now my pleasure to get to introduce Brandon Lemer. After transferring from the University of North Dakota, Lemer wrestled at Jamestown College from 2003 to 2005. During his time at JC, Lemer was a three-time NAIA All-American, placing 6th in 2003, 4th in 2004, and 3rd in 2005. He was the Dakota Athletic Conference Most Valuable Senior and the DAC Winter Sports Athlete of the Year. He also participated on the football team from 2002 to 2004. Brandon received his business administration degree from Jamestown College in 2005. He then went on to receive his Master's of Science in Nutrition and Exercise Science with a focus in Sports and Recreation Management from NDSU. He was inducted into the North Dakota High School Wrestling Association Hall of Fame in 2010 and into the University of North Dakota Hall of Fame for his 2001 football team national championship. Brandon is a native of Harvey, North Dakota, and he and his wife Jeanne reside in Bismarck, North Dakota, where he is the Career and Technical Education Director at Mandan High School. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Brandon Lemer.
This is pretty cool. It's an honor, everyone, to be here, an opportunity to be in the 2022 University of Jamestown Athletic Hall of Fame class. I'm truly blessed to be in this year's class with Dan, who was a teammate of mine for 3 years here, Shannon Bachmeier, the 1971 team where I saw Dr. Nias this morning, who was my high school baseball coach on it. Chuck, I really thought you were younger than that. I did. So, and then the 1992 softball team. And so I would like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for the decision to induct me into the Hall of Fame. It is an incredible honor and one that I do not take lightly. So I grew up 90 miles from here in Harvey, North Dakota. UJ was interesting as they started recruiting me early in the high school process, but I didn't come to UJ right away. It stuck out to me along the way of recruiting that Jason McLeod was the guy calling me the most, that I got the rapport with, and I decided to go another way. I decided to go to the University of North Dakota out of high school, and those talks are always tough when you call the coach and you tell him you're going somewhere else. So, but it was nice. I called Jason, and he wished me well and said, if you ever need anything to call. And you know, that kind of stuck with me because years later, he comes back into my life. So fast forward to 2002, and I was at the University of North Dakota playing football, decided I wanted to wrestle again and come back close to home. So we started kind of looking. Where was the right fit? Where was the chance to get back on the mat? Now, I hadn't wrestled a match in 2 years. I went from high school, a state tournament, to not having wrestled all through my days at UND. They dropped their program because of Title IX right before I got there. And so through the search, I knew that I wanted to be close to home. I knew that I wanted to be close to my wife, Jeanne, who was at UND. We were high school sweethearts, been married for 17 years, so I knew that that was a big part of it. I came to campus for a visit, and it was kind of interesting. I got to meet with Thomas Dylocker and Vicki Greshik, and they kind of sold me on the business program here. I knew the level of education I get would vastly outseed anything else. So that kind of came into the big decision on why I chose Jamestown. So along the way, came back in my life was Jason McLeod. It was always kind of nice when you go to wrestle to have somebody that's your same weight. He was a heavyweights coach, and if you ever wrestled in college, it's hard to be coached by guys who I call the mini bikes, the small guys. So it's a little different, but Jason was a big guy. He's about 6'5". He wrestled at Arizona State, and he knew his stuff, so I kind of knew where football was at that time at Jamestown, and they figured it out a few years later, but I made my decisions based off academics and based off the relationship of coaches who wanted you there, and that was a big deal. So I got on campus in 2002. When I was here playing football, they never once asked me to do anything for wrestling. I was in the fall picture, that was it, and I showed up in November. So football ends in the first week in November, and all of a sudden, you're at practice on the next Monday. You get 1 day off. Got Sunday, I was in the room Monday. They said you're going to practice for 4 days, and you're going to go to a tournament. I'm like, all right. Now, if you've ever wrestled before, football shape is nowhere near wrestling shape. It is a whole different world, and it was painful. The other part is Jason McLeod was a master recruiter at this college level. There was 11 heavyweights in the room when I started at Jamestown, and they all went through the preseason part, so I was number 11 because I didn't do any of that stuff with playing football. So you start at the bottom. You think they ease you in, kind of see how it goes? It's not. I had 4 wrestle-offs my first day here, so I could climb to the number 7 spot. 2 more the next day, 2 the third. I'm like, all right, I'm up to 3rd now on the ladder. Well, that was the pre-day before we're going to wrestle a duel in the cities. So you didn't get a chance to wrestle off on pre-days. So we went down to the tournament. I watched on Friday night. I got to watch the other heavyweight compete, and he won. He was very good. He actually went to the national tournament with us as an alternate that year. The next day, we're down at the University of Augsburg in their big tournament. They got Division I kids there. You're seeing the guys from Wisconsin. You're seeing Gophers guys there. It's a pretty good tournament. And I'm going to wrestle my first collegiate match and the first time in 2.5 years. I go out there. I get to draw a junior college kid that was returning All-American. I beat him 9-1. I was like, well, this isn't bad. Got a lucky pin in the second match, and then I get to meet up with the Gophers heavyweight in the semis. So I wrestled Mike Flanagan, who was winning record in the Big Ten, pretty good. It was 3-1. I got beat. My first time I ever got beat in about 5 years in wrestling. It was a long time, so it was humbling on that part. I got to wrestle back into 3rd and 4th place match, and at that one, I got to wrestle my teammate for 3rd and 4th, which at that part, our coach said, that's your wrestle-off. It's the only wrestle-off I had in my Jamestown career. Even when I'd play football after that, I would come in and I was at the top spot. But so I won that match 13-0. Had to wrestle off once in my Jamestown career. I'm pretty happy for that. So I can tell you the shape you're in is a whole different world. My first year here ended at the national tournament. I was fortunate to become an All-American. At the national tournament, they call it the All-American weigh-in. It's the last time you weigh in. It doesn't mean much for heavyweights, but for those little guys that have been dieting all year, it's one of the greatest days ever for them. I went to weigh in for the All-American weigh-in and weighed at 211 pounds. They thought I'd missed weight as a 197-pounder. I was the lightest All-American heavyweight by about 40 pounds that year. They were massive, most of those guys, 280. So I knew if I was going to climb the ladder and place higher, I'd have to gain some weight, which, man, it's different when you get older trying to keep the weight off as it is trying to put it on when you're younger. Fast forward to year two. Year two, I got to go to the national tournament again, and this was kind of where I started developing as a wrestler. I got in the backside and was on the consolation. I made the semis, got beat in the semis, was in the consolation side getting for third and fourth. I'm wrestling a kid from Menlo. They're very good. And first time in my life, I couldn't take the kid off his feet. He took me down 3 times, and he cut me, which means he let me go. And I was down 6-3 after the first period. And in the world of college wrestling, you get your choice in the second period, ends with a flip. Well, he got his choice. He deferred to me. And I looked over in the corner, and I saw the anomaly that never happens in college wrestling. I saw my coaches give me the thumbs up, which in wrestling means that you choose top. Heavyweights don't do that, let alone college wrestlers. In my college career, I chose top twice. My high school career, I never chose top. We always thought if you were going to be good and you had to win, you had to wrestle from the bottom on your way out. So I chose top, I hit a cradle, and I pinned him to make it into the third and fourth place match. The kid wasn't very good on the mat, but he was great on his feet. The next year, we go out to the national tournament. It was a big year for me. It was the last year I was going to wrestle. I wasn't going to use my 4th year of wrestling eligibility. I was going to graduate because with my transfer situation, it was time to move on and get married in life. Spent most of that year ranked 1 in the country. Went to the national tournament and got upset in the opening round. I lost 4-2. You have to wrestle 3 matches back just to be an All-American, 7 to take third. I got 2 pins and got into what we call the blood round in wrestling, which is one of the most stressful things you will ever be a part of. I'm standing out there in the blood round, and I get to wrestle Gilbert Jones from Missouri Valley, 3-time All-American, former national finalist, one of the strongest human beings I've ever wrestled. He's good, and he had the fortunate on that side. The guy I lost to went on to the finals and got beaten overtime. The guy he lost to went on to the finals and won in overtime. So as 3-time All-American, they didn't seed this. It was random draw. It's the Wild West. So I get to wrestle Gilbert, and I've wrestled him before, and he's very good. I hit a fireman's off the opening whistle and go up 5-0, have about 2 minutes of riding time. And in college, if you have a minute more of riding time, you get an extra point. Second period, Gilbert gets his choice. He chose down, as all heavyweights do. You're taught to win from the bottom and come back. I ride him out and have 4 minutes of riding time. My choice in the third to be an All-American or go home. I look over in the corner, and the second time in my career, I get the thumbs up. I rode out Gilbert Jones for almost 6 minutes of riding time to become an All-American and battled back to take third. My final match, I wrestled Jacob Hallmark, national champ, UFC fighter, very, very good wrestler. We're 3-3 with 25 seconds left for the third and fourth place match. I get an escape. Roger Fisher's coaching in the corner over there with Jason McLeod, and Roger figured that I would stall this one out. It's what most heavyweights do, right? Grab wrist, circle. You don't have a stalling call. I took a shot. I scored. We won 6-3. And I'd like to say that as one of the things I'm proud of is that I got to wrestle to the end here and finally learned how to wrestle as a heavyweight the rest of the way through. So when you start thinking about all those matches, all the time in it, twice in my career being able to wrestle on the top position, which is unheard of, it comes back to all the people that helped you get here. So I'd like to thank my mom and dad. They're the ones that helped show me the right and wrong, the way to get there. As a kid, I was known for being a pinner. I was known for having lots of pin. I won the Greeno Award as a junior at the national tournament, which means you're the best pinner in the country. I always tell people I became a pinner because my mom was the loudest person you could ever imagine in the stand. She would yell when I was a kid. And so, Mom, thank you for being loud. To my wife, Jeanne, always there for me. The hardest thing for me leaving UND was Jeanne still being there, coming back to all the games here, all the way. Both of our children, today both of my children are actually competing in athletics. We made sure that they're doing their sports today versus having them come here. So they're both competing, and that's kind of where both of us are following along. My daughter will run at 11:30, and my son Tate will play at about 11:45. So we look at our kids and our family that shape us, and it's a pretty big deal. On the way, I was fortunate to have great coaches. Dennis Doctor coached me at Harvey. Doc was by no means the wrestling coach that Jason McLeod was, but he was an amazing man of character that taught you that hard work could prove anything. I'm grateful for Doc and what he did to help me transition to college wrestling. When you could take 2 years off, that's an eternity, and sometimes you lose that in any sport. Luckily, with that background, it helped me. Jason McLeod was only 6 years older than me when he coached me. It's kind of weird when you think about that. He was more, a lot of people like to say their college coaches were like a second father for them, a second mom, you know. It was more like a big brother that would beat the tar out of you. I couldn't score on Jason McLeod the first year I was here, and I always thought I was pretty good. I couldn't score a point. I couldn't take him down. He was 6'5", about 320 pounds, and he beat the tar out of me at the end of that part. Towards the end of my career, it switched. He couldn't score on me anymore. That's because of what he taught me. We're still friends this day. Called me yesterday. Proud of the level of coaching I had here. A lot of coaches will tell you what you want to hear. He actually cared. He got to know you and developed a relationship. So I'm grateful for my family. I have 4 brothers. I have a sister, all my nieces and nephews that have been always supportive in everything I do. So grateful for that. Grateful for all the support from all the Jamestown family. Dr. Badal came in the same year I did here. He became president in 2002. Dr. Badal never missed one of my matches on campus. He always caught me walking around. Presidents that care, that showed that effort were absolutely amazing, and I always felt that when I was here. You don't feel that everywhere else. Trust me, there's most students that can't tell you what the president of a college looks like, let alone that he's at all the events. So people always ask me if I could change my decision and go anywhere else, would have I? I wouldn't. I truly loved my experience at Jamestown. It let me find who I am. If they asked me if I would do it over again, absolutely. So thank you, and go Jimmies.
Congratulations. We're glad you could make it today. Now, I'm not quite sure what I got all of us into by agreeing to this next introduction, but I didn't dare say no when he asked so nicely if he could help. So with that, I give you class of 2005 alum Tyson Norman.
Hello and good morning, faculty, athletes, parents, kids, aunts, uncles, athletes, everybody, thanks for being here. Again, I'm Tyson Norman, class of 2005. I had the pleasure to run 3 years of my track career with Dan Stoudt, 3 best years of my life, and it's now an honor to introduce him into the Hall of Fame. And there's many stories that I could tell. I'll keep it quick. One of them, his very first indoor track meet, we were at Mankato, and Dan was running the Open 4. And spoiler alert, he won. And he'd get used to doing that quite a bit in his career. But what was unique about the race is we were racing some guys from the cities, and it didn't faze Dan a bit. You know, we're little small town North Dakota, oh no. But this St. Olaf kid tried to pass him on the inside, which in track is a real risky move, especially when there's not a lot of room when Dan's in lane 1. The kid bounced right off of Dan when he was in stride and went flying off the track. Dan won. The coach from St. Olaf kind of got in front of Dan, and he was like, "Oh, well, geez, that's not a race. That's not racing. That's not running." Without missing a beat, Dan's like, "Well, rubbin's racing," and he walked away. And he ended his indoor career, not ended because he was All-American quite a few times. He was racing someone that we happened at the indoor conference championship, again, the 400, which, spoiler alert, he won. He was racing against a guy that we watched on the TV that summer, race for the Bahamas at the Olympics in the 4x4, Aaron Clear. And in that race, at every turn, Aaron Clear tried to pass Dan, and he wouldn't give him an inch. And he kept every chance he got, he failed. Dan won the race, and Aaron Clear said it was the hardest he ever worked for second place. That's how Dan ran. Dan ran with a grit. He ran with this raw intensity and power and talent on the track that I've never seen. He may have not known what foot to put first in his blocks, but that didn't matter. He was going to go out and win. He was going to beat you. And one of the most important things, though, was him as a teammate. And Jason Baca, who was the quarterback during that time when Dan was playing football, said that no matter what Dan was doing, he was like he was a kid playing at recess. He was having fun. And that rubbed off on everybody, no matter if it was a game or practice, because everyone was well aware of Dan's extreme athletic abilities. As Rollie Greeno would say, he was a dude! But everyone loved Dan, and Jason said his biggest attribute as a teammate was that he made everybody comfortable and feel included, whether you were a starter or a third stringer, and that was true leadership. So no matter what jersey Dan wore, I don't know if you want to squeeze into this, Dan? Huh? This is my old one. You can put it on if you want. No matter if it was a speed suit or a football jersey, he didn't need Jimmy's printed across his chest because he wore that Jimmy pride as a badge of honor the minute he stepped on this campus, and he holds that true today. He's a true ambassador of this college, of the relationships that he built, and it's just so fitting that we're now bringing him into the Hall of Fame. So, again, it's my honor to introduce one of my best teammates, but more importantly, one of my best friends, Dan Stoudt. No.
Thanks, Tyson. I guess I don't have to say much. Tyson taught me how to hurdle and how to keg stand and how to sneak out of a hotel window and how to do a lot more stuff we can't talk about. Jamestown is obviously a very special place for a lot of people, and very much so for me. My grandpa called me. I signed with the U of M out of high school to do track, and about a week before I went off to the University of Minnesota, my grandpa, Dick Stoudt, called me, and he went to Jamestown College, and he was a professor here, and he knew that I needed a lot of attention and a lot of hand-holding. And he was convinced that the U of M wouldn't do that for me, and he knew Jamestown College could. University of Jamestown now. So he talked me into a week before school started to come here, and he said, "All right, talk to the football coach, and you can play football, and you can run track, and we got a job for you at the dealership, and your whole life's going to be all set up." So thanks, Grandpa, for doing that. And I came here, and the football coach hadn't really heard much of me, and the track coach hadn't really heard much of me, so I was pretty much a walk-on at Jamestown College, which was interesting. But it worked out really awesome. As Tyson said, from the minute I came on campus, the overwhelming support and love and camaraderie from everybody here is unmatched in anything else I've ever done. So I'll tell a couple stories. When we kind of pick our positions in football, you look at your skill sets and you kind of think, what do I want to do? And I just looked for 1 second. Brandon played football. I decided I was going to play right behind him because he could go in and tear apart everybody and cause a big problem, and then whoever had the ball would run away from him right in my arms. So that worked out really well. Thanks. To be able to do football and track here was really special, not just to be able to be on a couple of different stages, but to meet all those people. Right, 100 guys on the football team and 100 guys and gals on the track team, and those are all still the relationships that I hold. Tyson lives a mile from me now, and our other teammate lives a mile the other way, and just you don't know it at the time, but how important and special that this time here was, I'll never forget. So, anyways, thanks a lot. I really appreciate the induction.
As a fellow teammate of the next inductee, it is my pleasure to welcome Jimmy Booster Club Executive Board member and Class of 2011 alum, Samantha Beckman, to the stage.
Well, good morning, and it's so great to see everybody here today. I just want to start by saying thank you for being here. I know it means a lot to all of the alumni, all of the inductees, and congratulations to all of the inductees. Well, I am honored to have the opportunity to introduce my friend and teammate Shannon Bachmeier. To help me with today's award presentation, Coach John Hagerly would like to say a few words.
Good morning, Shannon. Congratulations on being inducted into the Hall of Fame. You are such a deserving candidate. I've always shared with you that one of my regrets is that I was only able to coach you for 2 years. And now I can add another regret. I regret that I'm not able to be here in person on this big day for you. But I am with you in spirit and heart. People will always remember you for your smashing kills and your suffocating blocks. And certainly those stand out in my mind. But I think more importantly, the thing that stands out most to me is, number one, your huge, warm smile, regardless of what was going on. And number two, your heart for your teammates and coaches. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that is reminded of that. And I just want to thank you for your impact on our program and our university, moving our program forward, and the lessons you taught me and so many others about what it means to be a Jimmy and be a great teammate. Have a great day. Go James.
Thank you, Coach. From 2007 to 2010, Shannon was one of the top volleyball players in the Dakota Athletic Conference. After being named to the All-Conference second team in 2007 and 2008, she earned first-team honors in 2009. She capped off her final season for the Jimmies with another first-team selection and an added DAC Most Valuable Senior, DAC Most Valuable Player, and third-team NAIA All-American to her list of accolades. Shannon still ranks 5th on the Jimmy all-time list in kills with 1,330 and ninth in blocks with 404, and her 434 kills in 2010 is the 4th most in a season. At over 6 feet tall and left-handed, she was oftentimes unstoppable. There is no doubt Shannon is an outstanding athlete and also one of the most dominant players. But that's not all. She's also an outstanding person. She was often our mother hen, ensuring the rest of us were being responsible. She was and is always still there when we need her, with open arms and the biggest heart. After graduation, Shannon moved back to Williston, where she became the aquatic supervisor for the Williston Recreation Center. She married her husband, Tom, in 2012, and they have 3 beautiful children, Jennings, Andy, and Logan. She is going on 8 years of being a stay-at-home mom, and in her words, wouldn't trade it for the world. Congratulations, Shannon.
Hello. How you other two did this without any notes is beyond me. So here I start. Honored, humbled, shocked, panicked. These are some of the emotions I felt when I found out I had been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Panicked, knowing I had to write a speech for you all, and this stay-at-home mom has still not quite mastered the art of public speaking. So bear with me if I stumble on some words and forget to make much eye contact with you all. Shocked as I listened to the voicemail and read the email from the Booster Club back in June telling me I had been inducted into the Hall of Fame. I listened to the voicemail multiple times and kept thinking, did I hear that right? Did they call the right person? So thank you, Tara from the Booster Club, who took in all my emotions that day and reassured me, much to my surprise, I was one who had been selected. Humbled. It is a privilege to be standing in front of you today. I am overjoyed with gratitude that another teammate and friend even thought of me as a nomination. It's an incredible feeling that I still don't think has quite sunk in yet. Honored. I can remember walking through the hallway from the bookstore to the cafeteria, day in and day out, and always looking up to read Athletic Hall of Fame. And at that time, it was just another hallway. It took me a couple years to truly understand the significance of it. At times I would stop to quick read up on some of the inductees before class, but then went on my way. Now, without speaking to the other inductees, I think it's safe to say our goal when coming to Jamestown College was never the individual numbers, records, or accomplishments. My goal when becoming a Jimmy was, can I do my job in order to give my team a better chance of winning and being successful? That was my ultimate goal, help my team succeed. So to get recognized at this caliber for those specific individual things is something that truly leaves me almost speechless. To God, thank you for blessing me with these talents that I could go out and perform with a platform of sports in order to glorify you. To Coach Mahoney, thank you for seeing my potential as a senior in high school and trusting me to jump on the court as a freshman and not screw everything up. At the beginning of my freshman season, you uttered the words, "Your only job as a freshman in the starting lineups is to have fun. That's all I want you to worry about. Don't worry about your performance. You have the skills. They will show up, but only if you're having fun." So that's what I did. I had fun, and turns out you were right. Thank you for all the time and energy you spent to make my first 2 seasons unforgettable. To Coach Hagerly, thank you for taking a chance on Jamestown College. I remember our first time in the gym with you, you held a quick 30-minute trial practice to see if Jamestown was in fact the right fit. You put us through 3 drills that I had never even heard of before, and from that point on, I knew if this guy ends up being our coach, we would be in good hands. The way you coach and explain the game of volleyball is absolutely incredible. You see the game through a different lens and make what can be such a complex sport seem so simple. It's no surprise to me the success you have brought to Jimmy Volleyball. Thank you for pushing me to my limits and making me a better player. Thank you for being my coach, my support system, my advice giver, and everything in between. I wouldn't be the player I was or the person I am today without you. To Kristen, one of the best roommates I could have ever asked for. From starting out as high school rivals one year to then becoming teammates the next, it was something very new to me. Thankfully, that was the last thing I needed to worry about. I gained a teammate, a roommate, and a friend. It is hard for me to put into words how to thank you. After I found out you had nominated me for the Hall of Fame, I couldn't help but realize how selfless of an act that truly was. You did all the dirty work in the back row for me to be able to play the front. We were a team, and I couldn't have done it without you. And trust me, we all know Coach didn't want me in the back anyways. So thank you for being there with me from the very beginning, from freshman year to graduation, from my wedding to yours, and now a Hall of Fame nomination and induction. You've been with me through it all, and I couldn't be more thankful for you. To Kayla, for anyone who doesn't know, Kayla is my older sister and also played volleyball here at Jamestown. Kayla, thank you. Thank you for being my test drive to Jamestown College. Committing to Jamestown was such an easy decision knowing you already loved it here. Thank you for coming alongside me on my recruiting trips, whether you came with me for the support or just to make sure I didn't like any of the other schools better than I liked Jamestown is up for debate. But even if it was for that, I'm thankful you did it, because college volleyball wouldn't have been the same if it wasn't for us on the same team. Having you as a setter was an absolute dream. The sister connection we had on the court was undeniable. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for wanting your sister to join in on your college career. And thank you for being with me every step of the way. From high school to college, and now from rec league to our very own sand volleyball league in my backyard, the thought of playing volleyball without you is completely foreign, and I wouldn't want it any other way. To the rest of my teammates, thank you for being a part of this Jimmy Volleyball family with me. I met some incredible people who grew into friends. Whether it was preseason, during season, or the off season, year after year, we were together basically every day, and it was some of the most memorable times I will ever have. When I think of this award, I can't help but recognize and realize how much of an individual award is made possible only by the rest of the team's help. So from those of you who came here with me to celebrate, and to everyone else I was lucky enough to play with, thank you. You guys really are the best, and I'm so thankful for you. To my family, each and every one of you, thank you for everything. The time, the effort, the unending support, all the miles traveled. Seeing you walk through the doors of whatever gym we played in is a feeling I won't ever forget. Thank you for being there no matter what. I promise you it was never unnoticed. You guys are absolute gems, and I am so thankful to call you family. To the fans, thank you for showing up on game days. You showed up like it was a college requirement. You turned the Hansen Center into a sold-out stadium. From some arriving early just to heckle the other team during warm-ups, to other coming in during the day to tape a piece of paper on the bleachers that read reserved because his night class would run late, but he needed to make sure he had a spot for the game. You all showed up, and I'm forever thankful for you. Playing in front of you was incredible, and though I still don't know which one of you ended up giving me the name, the Williston Hammer, it seemed to stick, and I couldn't help but grin every time that place chanted those words after a kill. So thank you guys for showing up. You truly made our games unforgettable. To Tom and our 3 kids, I love you. Tom, thank you for the love, the support, and everything in between. You were and still are one of Jimmy Volleyball's biggest fans. You are my rock, and I can't thank you enough. Jennings, you're my soft-hearted boy who's got more leadership skills than I do. Keep being you. You're bound to do great things. Andy, you've got more drive than any kid I know. Whatever you end up setting your mind to, I can't wait to watch. It's going to be remarkable. If you take any advice from your mom, just remember, Jimmy Volleyball wasn't a horrible decision. Logan, you're my little buddy, and at this point, you're probably up walking laps and making someone chase you, but someone has to keep us on our toes, and that's certainly you. I love watching your personality grow and seeing who you really are. You are all my favorite. Thanks for always being there. During a home recruiting visit, I can still see Coach Mahoney sitting at my kitchen table in Williston, chatting with my family and I about everything Jamestown College, from the financial side of things to everything athletics. And one thing stuck with me that I would never soon forget. He said, "Shannon, you are the missing piece to my puzzle that I have been searching for years now." I was the left-handed right side hitter that a team actually searched for, I thought. So taking a chance, I committed to Jamestown College, and what I didn't know was that Jamestown College would be the missing puzzle piece I never knew I needed. I'm so thankful for the people and the blessings that have come from going to school here. I have always been proud to be a Jimmy, and to leave it at that seems like an understatement. I'm so proud to be a Jamestown College alum, so proud to be a Jimmy Volleyball alum, and now to say that I am a part of the University of Jamestown's Athletic Hall of Fame is something I could have never dreamt of. Thank you, Jamestown, for being my home for 4 years, but a place I will treasure for the rest of my life. Congratulations to the other inductees, and go Jimmies.
Congratulations, Shannon. This next group of individuals has certainly kept me on my toes since I came in as the Booster Club director, and I've enjoyed connecting with each and every one of you anytime I've had the chance. So to help introduce and accept our first Hall of Fame Team Award of the morning, please help me welcome Michael Lear and Larry Langamo.
Good morning, everybody. It's a tremendous honor to be here. I have to tell you all that being a part of this team has been something that's been pretty special. And I also have to mention that you can tell there's something that's quite different about our generation and the younger generation, because you notice that the younger people have all their information on their phones, and what of us, our old folks, what do? We write it down. It's kind of funny. But anyway, it really is an honor to be here to represent our 71 co-championship football team. And it's hard to believe that 50 plus years have passed since that time. I look out and I see my teammates and my friends and people, and it's kind of inspiring in many ways just to think that we've maintained our bond of friendship through all these years. And I do want to thank the Hall of Fame Selection Committee for this honor. There are numerous teams that, in various sports that could be selected, and to have this honor is truly something that I cherish, and I know my teammates cherish, and it's just something that's really pretty special. And I do want to, at this point, Fellow teammates, I want to introduce people individually. So what I'd like you to do, I'm going to read the list of names. Obviously, some people aren't here. So when I read your name, please stand up. So, but I am going to read everyone's name, even our fellow teammates that have passed. Okay, here's the list. Barry Buckholz, Chris Church, Al Clemens. I know Al is here. Stand up, Al. There. Todd Gross. My old roommate, Willie Holsworth. Doug Hupke. Kirk Kendall. Mike Kramer. My friend and co-champion, Larry Langemo. Doug Rundle. Neil Swanson. Bart Thomas. Chuck Wagner is here. Chuck, stand up. Gene Zimmerman and Steve Keith. Les Foster. Kelly Gleave. Stand up, Stumpy. Can't really see him. Steve Hendrickson. Tim Cavanaugh. John Lindy. Tom Mahan. Jim Manny. Jeff Naggets. Where's Nags? There's Nags. Randy Nichols. Marlon Schutte. Craig Struble. Jimmy Seaverwood. Where's Jimmy? Jimmy, there he is. Big dog. Teddy Watson and Craig Fowl. Mike Esser. Dave Evinger. Galen Geffrey. Big G. Terry Greenwood. Terry Lee. Chuck Nias, a good doctor. Bill Priester. Terry Silva. Jim Sage. John Seaverud. Russ Worth. Russ is around here. There's Big Russ. Dale Zetterlund and Hank Jeske. Okay, next group, Dave Albright, Ed Anderson, Greg Anderson, Chuck Carvel. I saw Chuck pulled in here. Chuck's around here somewhere. There he is. Dave Chittister, Phil Cross. Stand up, Phil. Attaboy. Good man. Mike Kuhn, Dennis Fowl, Dave Renbarger, Jim Robertson, Dave Zeisler, and Joe Del Grosso. This is our 1971 team that the members that are present, and it's just been such an honor to have being able to play with this group of guys. The other thing I want to mention is 50 years ago was a long time, and several of our members have passed. So I would like to honor those individuals on our team that have passed. I'm going to read the names of those people. Craig Fowl, Les Foster, Marlon Schutte, Terry Lee, Kirk Kendall, Dale Zetterlund, Greg Anderson, Brian McDonough, Terry Silva, and Mike Esser. Rest in peace, fellow Jimmies. And of course, I want to mention our leader and inspiration, Coach Greeno. He and both Coach Claflin have passed. What else? I do want to also mention a couple of very special people that have, one is here at this point, but we had assistant coach Fran Esser and Tom Grieving, the student manager is here. Tom. And Pat Kramer. I don't think Pat was able to make it back, but they were a big part of our team. You know, the work that they did behind the scenes was something that you don't always think about, but they're there. The other thing I'd like to mention is that our bond of 50 years remains strong. There's a large group of players from this era that every year we get together somewhere in the region for some type of activity. There's 25 to 35 of us that spend time together and reminisce and cherish our time here at UJ. And it just shows the commitment that we have to each other and the team that we had, the things that we overcome. It was pretty amazing. I think it's reflective of our lifelong bond of friendship forged by our time here, and I'm just so thankful for these bonds and the excellent education that we had at UJ. It's something that makes us such a special place, and I'm truly honored to have played on this team with this group of guys. It really is something that is close to my heart. I'd also like to give a shout out to the players that came before us. I know there's some of the seniors are here when we were freshmen, and that group of guys was such an inspiration to us. Pat, Dave, and Davey, and John, I know you guys are here, and what you did for us was teach us that spirit of never quit, never give up, never stop, and you guys are part of this, and you guys obviously are part of the Hall of Fame teams too. This group of seniors have now played on 3 championship and 3 Hall of Fame teams, and I think that's a reflection of the group of guys, the leadership we had before us, and what we learned from that group of guys. In closing, I would like to say this group of seniors beat that team, I can't remember the name of it, that's about 30 miles east of here, 4 times during our careers. So whenever I talk to those guys that I played against, I always go 4-0, buddy, 4-0. Thank you. This is Larry Langham, who's going to take over now.
Thanks, Mike. That team from 30 miles east, what did Rollie call him? Lori Paulson? You can't say it. Just a couple things to add. 51 years ago, I mean, that has to be a record. How did you ever think to name us? We were the most persistent people in the world. Thank you to the committee for hanging in there and listening to us. Some of our memories need to be jogged, so I went into the archives at the North Dakota Heritage Center and looked up some old articles that Jim Wims Nelson wrote in the Jamestown Sun. Anybody remember Jim Nelson? If you do, he would walk up and down the sidelines trying to keep his comb-over in place. Coach Greeno was certainly responsible for the culture that was created in those days. He built character. He was a character. He was the wrestling coach, the track coach, the cross-country coach, the athletic director, and if he could have figured out a way, he'd have been the baseball coach and the basketball coach. He recruited everybody's girlfriend. He trained us like a track team. This is the 4th of his beginning to, I guess, 5th really. We were 3 out of those 5 teams that were named now to the Hall of Fame. And I believe that the real reason we were able to do that was we out-conditioned everybody. Guys, remember those 440 tests we had to take. I don't think Chris Church has yet to run a 70-second quarter. But he still let him play. But he had to try it 3 or 4 times. Just an example of that year. In the newspaper, Jim Nelson writes, the leaders in the 440 conditioning test that Coach Greeno made sure got in the paper were quarterback Jim Stage in 51.6 seconds, and the next 2 were linemen Jim Seaverud and Marlon Schutte, both under 54 seconds. Our linemen were track stars. Unbelievable. Many of these guys were multi-sport athletes. Now you read in the bulletin you got today when you came in about our final game where the whole student body showed up to help shovel snow off the field. so that we could finish the game. Jimmy's school spirit was great then as it is today. Just want to finish with just a couple of reminders of who the NDCAC conference choices were, the all-conference team. Sophomores, offensive tackle Les Foster. Sophomore end, Tim Cavanaugh, who invented the position of split end for Rollie Greeno. Rollie still hasn't figured out how he got out there. Junior quarterback, Kelly Gleave. We used to call him Buck Owens. Got so tired of that country music. Then there's Bill Holsworth. Nobody knows who I'm talking about from this group when we say Bill Holsworth, because he was Willie. So I mean, Willie Holsworth was a senior member of that team. Mike Kramer was a multi-year, all-district, all-conference choice. And then our old friend Chris Church, who won the Rollie Greeno Award a couple of years ago, was the Senior Athlete of the Year. Chris was our center. He was our defensive tackle. I don't think he was on the kickoff team, but other than that, I don't think he ever stepped off the field, so different days. The Jimmies were rated number 14 in the final NAIA poll. We led the conference in rushing and total offense. Kelly Gleave was the conference passing leader. Unbelievable, Rollie had a passing team. Junior running back, John Lindy, led the league in individual rushing and scoring. John, I don't know what you did to, make everybody mad, but how did you not make the all-conference team after doing that? I mean, somebody must not have liked you.
Should have been.
Yep. Kelly Gleave is a member of the Hall of Fame individually as a three-sport star. Hopefully, even after all these years, we can find a way to get a couple more. Dave Evinger, a sophomore on the team, is this year's UJ Alumni Hall of Fame inductee and a recent addition to the board of directors. Rollie Greeno Award winners for lifetime achievement in coaching are sophomore Russ Worth, senior Chris Church, who's still coaching wrestling and football in Georgia, senior Mike Kramer, and our student assistant coach Fran Esser. Again, thanks again to the committee and everybody. It's been great to get together. We really appreciate it.
Thank you both, especially for all of your help in coordinating the team. You've been invaluable to me these last couple of months, and congratulations to everyone from the 71 football team. Your pride in and dedication to being a lifelong Jimmy is really inspiring, so thank you. To help us introduce our next team, I'd like you to help me welcome team members Andy Wolf and Denise Reevely and Coach Lori Paulson.
Good morning, everyone. As mentioned, I'm going to use everyone's non-married names today. I'm Andy Green, left fielder for the 1992 Jimmy softball team, and I've been bestowed the honor of speaking on behalf of my Jimmy teammates. Before I introduce the members of the team, I would like to congratulate our fellow inductees. What a fantastic moment it is to be back on the Jamestown campus and in a room amongst such talented alumni. My teammates are front row center. So as I say your name, could you please just stand up and give everyone a wave? JT, Jacinta Thompson, our designated hitter. Denise Robinson, Dino, our shortstop. Christy Dawkins, Doc, our third baseman. Nikki Rains, Neener, our second baseman. Amy Lewis, Louie, first baseman. Lynn Brown, Brownie, she was our pitcher. I think she might be here. Lori Mecklenburg, Meck, our right fielder. Several of our teammates could not attend this weekend. Some of them have joined us live stream, and it's tradition in today's softball game to clap twice for the pregame in the pregame huddle as player's name is read on the lineup card. So could you please join me as I give them a little when I read their names? Wanda Flamin, Fish, our center fielder. Jen Beeger, Beegs, our catcher. Jill Lemer, Punky, our utility player. Tammy Nelson, Nellie, our pitcher. Dion Overstreet, Neon Dion, our utility player. And last but not least, Drew Suchuk, Drewy, our manager. We also have here next to us our head coach, Lori Paulson. I was going to clap, but he's here. Thank you. It's a privilege to speak on behalf of our 92 Jimmy softball team, but it was an honor of a lifetime to play ball with these women. Most of us have not seen each other in 30 years, and when we reconnected from all across Canada and the United States, after shortly hearing of our induction, it was like we had never been apart. The memories, the laughs, the stories, and the pictures we've shared in the last 2 days have been absolutely priceless. Our stats, our records, our all-star achievement, being the first team in Jimmy softball history to qualify for collegiate national championship, and now today becoming the first softball team in Jimmy history to have this Hall of Fame honor, are all very impressive facts and figures, but that's not what I remember best. What I am better at remembering is the way this team made me feel, and that was part of being something bigger than myself. I'd like to share a few memories with you. And Coach, I'm sorry, but we're about to reveal a few team secrets we've kept from you for 30 years. So I remember the thrill of the game day and putting on my orange, black, and white uniform, the chatter in the dugout, the pregame huddles and the postgame debriefs, secretly signing Denise up for a Jello wrestling contest, that hill that Coach made us run all the time, our teammates on the bench cheering on so loud that they'd lose their voices, Amy doing the splits at first on the close calls, Denise and Nikki turning these insane double plays, Coach Paulson at third base waving us in to home, our team karaoke nights that gave us the confidence to enter the Jimmy Talent Show only to be booed off the stage in seconds. We focused our talents on the ball field after that devastating blow to our egos. JT, she was always the one putting the ball into play for us at the plate. Our outfield making these crazy diving catches look so easy. Doc being so fast, she'd steal 2 bases at a time. Sneaking the team van out one evening in Florida, being chased down and nearly escaping a madman. Lynn's go-go gadget arm that pitched inning after inning and game after game. And being in left field at the national championship and watching fans slowly crowd around our diamond to watch cheer on this little North Dakota team beat the number 1 ranked Oklahoma in the round robin. But what sticks out most in my memories is the encouragement of one another in good times and tough times, both on and off the field. It was the all-out effort, all the time, by everyone, and the feelings of working tirelessly together for success. The Jimmy culture of working together with integrity, resolve, with grit, are leadership qualities that have shaped our lives, our families, our workplaces, and our communities. All the people whose lives we have touched are better and richer because of our experience at the University of Jamestown. We are blessed to be part of a school that recognizes and celebrates the success and leadership of its students. And at the helm of every great institution, program, and team is a champion that leads the way. And our champion is our coach, Lori Paulson. Sorry. Coach so honorably respected and believed in us and what the Jimmy culture represented. His integrity and expectations of us were truly the backbone of our team. His clear vision and focus saw each of our unique talents for the role we played on our team, from the freshmen through to the seniors. He is all class, all heart, and much too humble to take any credit, but the world is a better place because he's in it. I'd like to thank the University of Jamestown, the Jimmy Booster Club, the Hall of Fame Selection Committee, the Jimmy Athletic Team, our parents, families, our fans who supported us on our Jimmy softball journey. We share and celebrate this achievement with you. Thank you. Lastly, and most importantly, to each of the women from the 92 softball team and teammates that came before us who shaped the team, knew how to hustle, knew how to be great, and knew how to be good, and humbly honored the game. What a joy it was to be a Jimmy softball player alongside you. I've been coaching softball for 20 years, and every team is built on that foundation of the Jimmy culture. And there isn't a player of mine that hasn't heard a story of my Jimmy team. Coach, ladies, what a legacy you have left. In closing, I'd just like to sum up with one last remark. It's a good day to be a Jimmy. Thank you.
I just want to take 1 minute to put a little perspective into what those ladies did back in 1992. They were obviously good. Great pitching, great catching. Infield was, they were good. Good arms in the outfield, just everything that Andy said, that's what they were. They were very good. But in 1992, in the NAIA, softball didn't exist in North Dakota. If you weren't on the West Coast or in the South, softball didn't exist. Now, we knew we had a good team because we'd had good teams and had come close to going to the Nationals the year before, but we didn't know how good. And you can read that we went to Pensacola, and those ladies knocked off the #1 team in the country. And what they don't know is that when that game was done, the coach of the team that won the tournament, who was also the head of the Coaches Association for softball at that time, came over to me and introduced himself to me. And first thing he did was apologize because we were the last seeded team in the tournament. And he was on the committee that seeded teams, and he was on the committee that named the All-Americans. And he said, your team has been disrespected. You deserve to be much higher than that. Congratulations. And I need to apologize as well because you have players on your team who should have been considered for All-American. And again, it's, you don't know what you don't know. But there's a good quote in here about, Amy wrote it, about helping to grow. And they did that. And more championships came, more trips to the Nationals came. If you look at what Kevin Gall is doing with the program right now, he's got it rolling. And I like to think that these ladies had a lot to do with that. And I just want them to hear it from me. You were really good. You didn't need to be coached. It was drive the van, make out the lineup, get out of the way. They were good. They were good. So I appreciate it. It's been 30 years where I've believed that they belong right here. And I'm so grateful that this has happened. So thank you. Brandon, Shannon, Dan, 71 football team. Mike alluded to the fact that you thank the people who came before you. Well, when I got here a couple of years after you guys won the championship, you guys are legends to me. I heard all the stories. Not all of them, I'm sure, but I heard a lot of them. So thank you too. Brandon, Shannon, Dan, you guys are legendary. Jeanne Tews, what a great teacher. You've been legendary for a long time. You guys are legendary too. Thank you.
Thank you again, everyone, and congratulations, ladies. I can tell you I went to their softball alumni social yesterday, and when I walked in, they were laughing and hugging, and the sisterhood was amazing. And there was a scrapbook, and everybody who said, "Oh my gosh, you brought the scrapbook," there's something special about it. So I don't know if it's allowed for everyone, but they were having a grand old time, so congratulations. The Rollie Greeno Award for Outstanding Commitment in the Field of Education and Coaching was established in 1994 by the Jimmy Booster Club in honor of Coach Rollie Greeno for his decades of service as an instructor and a coach. This distinguished award honors individuals who have demonstrated a commitment to youth through their careers in the education and/or coaching professions. Today's inductee received many nominations, and if you live in Jamestown and have not heard the name Jeanne Tews, then you have not lived here very long. Personally, it's hard for me to say Jeanne Tews, as I was one of her students at St. John's Academy. And for those of you who remember, there wasn't a gym at that time, so we had to walk from the academy to the KC Hall for gym, regardless of the weather. So for those of you from the area, you know all about that. And so for me, being my teacher at the Jamestown High School and at St. John's Academy, it is ingrained in me for me to say Mrs. Tews. So Mrs. Tews taught physical education at St. John's Academy in Jamestown for 38 years. She also coached various sports at all levels, covering close to 100 seasons. One of her valuable contributions in the coaching field was her desire to work with all athletes, regardless of their skill level. Mrs. Tews provided many sporting opportunities for students in Jamestown, including out-of-school activities such as bowling, ice skating, swimming, and more. Additionally, Mrs. Tews implemented an archery program at St. John's Academy, helping to acquire the equipment and volunteers so that the program could be utilized. One nominator stated, "During this day and age, our young people need adults in their lives who provide positive role models. Coach Tews has served our community well in the coaching of many of our children. She exemplifies outstanding coaching skills, but more importantly, she is dedicated to building character within children that goes far beyond the world of sports. Jeanne Tews is that coach who will come to mind as possessing that special something." Mrs. Tews and her husband Dave, also a Rollie Greeno Award inductee, have been married for over 45 years. They have 3 children, Matt, Abby, and Nick, along with 4 granddaughters. She retired in 2018 and now has the pleasure of caring for and being a part of their granddaughters' lives every day. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you your 2022 Rollie Greeno Award winner, Mrs. Jeanne Tews.
Thank you. You know, everybody else wrote on their phones. I saw Shannon typed hers out. I handwrote mine. Sorry. Thank you to the community, the Jimmy Booster Committee for this prestigious award, and also to Tara Cap for all the behind-the-scenes activities. Congratulations to the recipients of the Jimmy Athletic Hall of Fame, very deserving. When I walked on the campus of Jamestown College, I had a vision of becoming a nurse. That all changed at the beginning of my sophomore year when the principal from Lincoln Elementary School asked if I would be interested in coaching 5th and 6th grade girls basketball. I was hesitant, but finally agreed. After the first week of practice, I was hooked. The next semester, I changed my degree to a double major, elementary ed, HPR with a minor in coaching. For me, it was a dream come true, being able to wear sweats, tennies, pick activities, teach the plays, and still get paid. I remember Coach Greeno was a great recruiter and certainly got the most out of his athletes. I also remember him saying, "The harder you work, the luckier you get." So true my first year of being the JV coach for the Jamestown girls varsity team. This is the beginning of volleyball as a sanctioned sport at the varsity level. We jumped into the year with both feet playing a full varsity schedule. There were many times when we never scored, barely touched the ball, but my girls showed up every day working hard to improve the game that they loved. It started to turn around one Saturday when we played in an all-day tournament. We lost all our games in pool play, but we played longer, touched the ball more, and we even scored once in a while. I could see the light bulb get brighter. The girls started to understand their roles when they stepped on the court, but most of all, we were playing as a team. We began the tournament in the tumbleweed division. We lost all our games prior to the last one when we won the second set of the match, allowing us to play a third, something we've never ever did before. We were ahead, 14-13. It was our serve. I could tell the girls were really nervous. especially Jeanne, our server. So I called timeout. I tried to calm them down, but still keep the spark alive. The girls did the blue cheer and went to their position, all except Jeanne. She looked at me and said, "Mrs. Tews, that did nothing for me. Do you have anything else?" I didn't, and time was winding down. I did manage to persuade Jeanne by telling her to go serve, and I'll think of something and tell you later. I'm not sure what happened after that. I had my head down praying. I do remember I heard a whistle, looked up, and the official signal that we had won. Blue Jay Nation erupted. My girls were jumping up and down, hugging, and some were even crying. Parents and fans were clapping, giving high fives, and congratulating each other. It looked like we had just won a state championship. And I sat back, taking it all in, thinking, wow, this is high school sports at its finest. An official remarked to me, "Obviously you don't win a lot." I said, "First time ever." Another group of athletes I coached was 7th grade girls basketball, 8th grade volleyball, and middle school track. With middle schoolers, you find attitude, excitement, drama, enthusiasm, all wrapped into one. As a coach, there's never a dull moment. Probably my favorite age group is elementary. I coach volleyball, basketball, gymnastics, track, 6th grade boys basketball, coaching instructed archery for 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. I also had the privilege to teach pre-K through 6th grade physical education at St. John's Academy. Elementary athletes are so innocent, excited to learn and develop new skills. They work hard and are so eager to please. I witnessed that firsthand as a parent when Mr. Jim Hardy volunteered to coach the 5th grade girls basketball team at St. John's Academy. His daughter Nicole and my daughter Abby were on his team. It was during one of their games, the ball went out of bounds on the other team. For some reason, they thought it was theirs, so the whole team ran down to the other end, ready for offense. Us as parents started yelling at the other girls to hurry up and throw the ball in. But Coach Hardy calmly stood up and instructed the girls to run their out-of-bound play and for Amanda to take it out. The 4 girls hurried to the free throw line, waiting shoulder to shoulder like little soldiers. Finally, Amanda slapped the ball and said, "Go." Those girls ran that play like a well-oiled machine. The ball was in bounds, shot made, adding to the score. But I remember the most were the smiles that were exchanged. Smiles for accomplishment, smiles with pride and achievement. When Coach Greeno and I would meet, he would always ask if I was still married to that Tews fella. And I would say yes, and he would kind of grunt. The last time our paths crossed, Coach asked the same question, and I answered the same way. But this time his response was GFY, good for you. He was absolutely right, and thank you, Dave, for choosing me to be your partner on this journey. Also, thank you for nominating and writing a recommendation on my behalf. Also, thank you to Kathy Fisher, Tammy Kopinski, Mr. Mark Weiss, Mr. John Lynch for all your influential recommendations. I'm so honored. Dave and I have 3 adult children, Matt, Abby, and Nick. They are the best thing that ever happened to me. I can't imagine life without them. They have made us proud beyond measure. They are our world. Adding to the world are the significant others, Jesse and Ryan. Thank you for adding so much love and laughter to our lives. My pride and joy are 4 granddaughters, Addie, Evie, Emmy, Sissy. These little girls have given our lives variety and keeps our hearts young. It's been a thrill to watch these girls grow into caring, kind, considerate young humans. Thank you, Bob, Nancy, and Elle Tews for taking time out of your busy morning to share this incredible moment with me. It really means a lot. I'd like to thank my friends for always being there in good times and bad times and everything between. I'm so lucky to have you in my corner. I'd like to recognize my other family, my fit family at I Will. Thank you to the instructors and members for not treating me like a senior citizen, always creating challenges with tons of encouragement. Also, thanks for putting up with my complaining and my one-liners. I need to express my sincere gratitude to my parents, George and Gladys Schooler, and my 2 brothers, Gary and Tim, for believing there's a spot in athletics for women. There's an old African proverb that states, "It takes a village to raise a child," which I believe. But I also believe it takes a community to develop an athlete. So I offer my hand to each and every one here because in some way, shape, and form, you have helped with that. Thank you, and God bless.
They just informed me I'm the one that's closing today. So thank you, everybody, for being here. I just want to say a few words of congratulations to all of today's recipients. A few years ago, the University of Jamestown had a set of listening sessions. It's actually quite a few years ago, and we established a new slogan that has now become our slogan, and it is "Our success, your tradition." Your success, our tradition. Later, a few years later, we established something we called the journey to success, which in many ways was what we defined as the process that UJ goes through as a student, but yet beyond being a student and into your careers, into your adulthood, as you raise your families, as you commit to your communities and your churches, socially, politically, academically, all of the ways that beyond here you are expected to contribute. That is what we call the journey to success. And what strikes me today as I listen to all of you is that your success didn't end here. Success wasn't something that you achieved on game day. Success was something you achieved because of the holistic experience and commitment you made to growing as an individual, to growing as a person as you left here and committed to the world in which you now serve. The University of Jamestown has also been on a journey, and I love what Denise said. The culture here is defined by integrity, resolve, and grit. This university has demonstrated integrity, resolve, grit, and I would add faith. We are a stronger university today than probably when you were here. But that is not because of something we did as a cabinet or a board. It is something we did because all of you believed in it. Decades of Jimmies have believed in giving back to this university. You didn't play in something that looked like this. You didn't play on a field that looks like Rollie Greeno Field does today. I didn't travel as a track athlete in something we travel in today. That is because all of us believed in this university in a way that I couldn't be prouder to represent. So thank you, congratulations. I really, really love being here. So thank you, congratulations. As I said, let's go win a football game.
And that concludes our day. So we do have room for photos. If we can get the teams and the individuals down, we'll take the photos that we need to have for our records. You can take photos as well. And the rest of the day is all yours. We hope again to see you all at the tailgate. And absolutely, on three, go Jimmies. 1, 2, 3. Wait a second, that could be so much better. On three, go Jimmies. 1, 2, 3.